Hey guys, welcome back to Minecraft the End. We will be reading chapter 14 today, and it is titled In the Army Now. It starts on page 145 and goes to page 152. If you've enjoyed our Minecraft series so far, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Minecraft novels and to hear the rest of these chapters. Without further ado, chapter 14, In the Army Now. Go on, thought Commander Kraj. Take it. It will make you stronger. The Enderfrag Konica reached out one skinny arm toward the strange alien thing. She hesitated, uncertain. She looked dark and calm against the glowing Enderdome courtyard, almost like a grown-up. All the other Enderfrags in the Enderdome watched her carefully. They waited to see what she would do. Everyone liked Konica. Some Endermen were never alone because they were afraid to lose their minds. Konica was never alone because the other fragments just felt better about being alive when she was around. Grudge was big and frightening and angry. He had sailed in like a furious black boat with 15 other Endermen who all had funny titles like Captain or Corporal or Sergeant stuck on their names. He had interrupted left-hand human punching practice. He had demanded all the frags gather in one place to listen to him. He had commanded Taskmaster Awori not to interfere or interrupt. Commander Kraj made them all want to teleport far away. But Konica hadn't, so they hadn't. Whatever Konica did now, they would all do. What is it? Konica thought. You know what it is, Fragment Kraj scoffed. Use it. Konica did not move. It is a sword, obviously, an iron sword, with a bane of arthropods enchantment. It is a very excellent weapon. Two of your noble young commanders donated it to the cause. You may thank them after the great battles to come, but it cannot be a sword. Crux unit Kraj, Commander Kraj, speak correctly to your elder, thought Captain Tammet loudly. But Kraj himself remained calm. The young creature seemed to amuse him with her careful thoughts. Oh, and why not? Because you want me to use it. I cannot use a sword. Of course you can. Whoever told you such nonsense? One of the other Enderfrags piped up. Taskmaster Awori says that the Enderman must not stoop to weapons as the human does. Yet another fragment dutifully recited last week's lesson. Weapons are the tools of order. They must be crafted according to precise and orderly instructions. Humans use them to shape and control the world. Konica finished the recital. The Enderman is superior. The great chaos needs only the power of our fists, which can never be lost or shattered, or smelted into something else, or stolen from you. Commander Kraj glanced over the crowd of young ones. His eyes met those of Taskmaster Awori. The Taskmaster quite clearly did not approve. I see, Kraj thought finally. May I present a counter-argument? Taskmaster Awori gave her permission. Who is your sparring partner? Fragment Konica. Konica pointed to a young Enderfrag called Nif in the front row. Hit him. Konica hesitated again. She glanced up at Awori. Do not look at Awori. Look at me. I am your commander. The mouth of the great chaos has given me dominion over all the forces of the Endermen, and charged me to create the greatest army the End has ever known or will ever know. What has Awori done? Taught juveniles not to break their toes when they kick one another? I thought you said that the fragments would not be required to fight. Commander Kraj, Awori thought icily. I have changed my mind. I will leave no tool unused in the great struggle. Look at me, Fragment Konica. It is left hand human punching day, is it not? So pretend he is a human. Hit him. Show me your left hand punch. Konica dashed forward and struck Nif in the arm. Kraj was right. They did this all the time. Sparing was everyone's favorite. Nif flushed red, but the damage was minor. Konica didn't hit hard unless it was unlimited brawling day. Nif rubbed his arm. He smiled at Konica so she would know he wasn't mad that she'd punched him in front of the whole dome. Nif wouldn't ever be mad at Konica. They'd been friends since they'd first been replicated. They chased endermites together across the islands and pelted each other with chorus fruits and made fun of Taskmaster Awori behind her back. When it was just the two of them, they were just smart enough for uncomplicated fun like that. Kraj laid his hand gently on Kanika's shoulder. Now, take the sword. Kanika didn't want to. Everyone knew she didn't. Her thoughts shone clear and bright. The sword was unnatural. The sword was order. The sword was human. And the sword would probably kill Nif. Kanika picked it up suddenly, decisively. She didn't know why, really. She just did it. It felt heavy and cold and foreign in her hand. Her thoughts felt heavy and cold and foreign too. Kraj was beaming at her. Taskmaster Awori seemed disconnected. Nif was sweating spores. Kanika's arm was moving into an offensive position already, all on its own. We are just sparing though, right? Nif thought shakingly. Kanika, it is just practice. Hit him, Kraj commanded. It will hurt him. We are at war, Enderfrag Kanika. The human threat will not stand here asking questions. Humans will act. They will fight. They will stab. Everyone is going to hurt sooner or later. Kanika looked back and forth between Nif and Kraj helplessly. Then her mind filled with a desire to cut Nif down. She didn't know where the idea came from. It just suddenly arrived in her brain in full color. She raised the iron sword high in the air. This is unnecessary, Commander Kraj. The angry, brittle dots of Taskmaster Awori sliced through the image in Kanika's mind. It dissolved as though she had never thought such a thing. She shook her head as though it were but buzzy with bees. Kraj's mindscape became a wordless snarl. Surely we need every Enderman for the fight ahead, thought Awori soothingly. Just as you said. She chose her idea slowly and carefully. We cannot afford to waste young, strong warriors on such a simple demonstration. The snarl vanished as quickly as it rose. Commander Kraj laughed loudly into the minds of the Enderdome. Of course, Taskmaster, you did not think I would allow my Enderfrags to actually delete each other? How foolish of you. We forgive you. Naturally, you cannot know the powerful mind of the Crux unit and a commander. You must take things as they seem rather than as they are. Our demonstration is already complete. Enderfrag Kanika showed no reluctance at all in punching her sparing partner, but she froze when asked to use a weapon on him, because she knows the weapon is better in every way than a fist. She knows her blows will leave the enemy standing, but a sword will destroy him. Why then, fragments, would we shun weapons when faced with a human horde? Why would we volunteer to be a weaker and slower and more defenseless? Ridiculous. Now, we have a number of items to choose from here. Everyone select something and we will begin the real Enderdome. I award you all the rank of private, except you, Kanika. You have already done well. You will be my lieutenant. A sculpting sound echoed behind Kraj. In one fluid movement, he snatched the sword out of Kanika's hand, spun and flung it hard toward the Endermite crawling across the courtyard. It died in the instant the blade touched its skin. Bane of arthropods, Kraj thought with tremendous sacrifice. How marvelous. The other Enderfrags ran across the courtyard to Kraj's officers and began to sort through the inventory of Finn and Mo's lovingly collected weapons and armor. Kanika just stared at her sword wobbling a little where it stuck in the stone, as the Endermite went up in smoke around it. Why did I imagine killing Nif? She thought, why would I ever imagine that? But no one was paying attention to her anymore. The commander and the taskmaster faced each other in the sparring courtyard. I do not approve of this, Commander. I do not care what you approve of. I am Commander. I speak for all of us. That is not our way. When enough of us are gathered, we speak together. There is no need for a commander. But there is. There is. Taskmaster Awori, there has always been. It is just that none of us was clever enough to see it when we gathered on the Dragon's Island. So many minds have all unified at last. I finally knew the truth. The path we should have taken all along. We have always suffered at the hands of the human world. But why? Why should we suffer at all? Why should they rule the overworld, where such riches lie, while we skulk and guard our few camps here in the end, where so little grows? If they can take our lands, our resources, we can take theirs too. We have not, because we hold ourselves back with silly rules like not using weapons or following commanders. I will make us better. You must see that. Under my reign we will fly, Awori. We will fly to the overworld and stop every bad thing from happening. I will defeat even the rain. The taskmaster's eyes flashed dangerously. What you are talking about is blasphemy, Kraj. I disagree. Reality does not care whether you agree with it. You have elevated yourself. You have created an army with ranks and duties. You intend to emulate humans. There is no chaos in this, no divine fire of unpredictability. You have become a servant of order. Silence your foul mind, or I will silence it for you. Kraj hissed. Taskmaster Awori folded her long hands behind her back. You have done more than that, I suspect. Little Kanaka was seconds away from killing Nif. She would never do that in the Inner Dome. They are practically a paired unit already. There are never fewer than 50 fragments stacked here at any time. Our minds are always calm and civilized in the dome so that they can learn. Yet she would have done it, murdered her friend, and look at your officers. They should be as clever as you, traveling all together, a gang of Kraj, but they obey you no matter what you say, meekly. Without argument, why should they? They are not your end, your family. Kraj smiled in his mind, a huge and ghostly smile. I am a crux unit. In the beginning of the end, I divided myself voluntarily to create a family, perhaps to simply respect their elder. I am a crux unit too, Kraj. We are equals, or have you forgotten? Everything about the beginning of the end? You must have. To call it the beginning, the end existed before us and will exist long after. Will you next claim to have built these cities? Your pride is ugly, Commander. I have taught generations of Enderfrags, and none of them obey me meekly because I am an ancient crux unit. What have you done, Kraj? What have the forces of order promised you? Do not be angry with me, Taskmaster. We are the same side. We both want to survive. The humans are coming. Let us have no conflict amongst ourselves. Kraj reached out a slender, dark hand and gripped Awori's shoulder in a gesture of friendship. The commander's hand was wet and cold. It tingled. Then it began to burn. The end ship tethered out into the darkness was really something extraordinary. Taskmaster Kraj mused. I could never have imagined that those twins capable of such industry. I think perhaps it was a mistake to keep them out of the dome. They will serve us well in the fight. Better still, if you had trained them. But how could you have known? How could I have known? Commander Kraj pulled his hand away. His fingers were covered in a scrap of leather to protect his skin, a scrap of leather stained dark cobalt blue. Owori swayed unsteadily. Yes, truly extraordinary, Kraj thought. I found this among the other potions. So many potions. This one is a potion of weakness. It slows you down, makes you stupid, makes you miss your attacks. And if a strong, powerful mind is nearby, well, a weak mind is easy to control. Suggestible. What a wonderfully useful thing. You may call it blasphemy. You cannot say order is not effective, like the sword in the first. The first is holier, but I choose the sword. The fist is holier, but I choose the sword. There will be plenty of time to let chaos reign when I own the human world from top to bottom. It is only logical. How else can we be safe unless they are gone? If a little order can get the Endermen where they should be, why not embrace it for a little while? Owori stared woozily into Kraj's sharp purple eyes. Yes, the taskmaster thought, as though it had been her own idea all along. Why not? The ancient Crux unit walked slowly across the courtyard to join the officers. That wraps up chapter 14, and I hope you guys enjoyed.